Um, okay. Hi, I'm Rachel Olson, founder of Best Mom Products, where mompreneurs share their adventures in business. Today I'm talking with Betsy Johnson, founder of SwimZip, a chlorine-resistant children's swimwear line with UV 50+ protection and full-length zipper that makes swim shirts easy to get on and off. After being diagnosed with cancer at the age of 26, Betsy made a commitment to protect others from the harmful rays of the sun. Today we'll learn how she approached design, manufacturing, sales, marketing, and used LinkedIn to effectively find contacts she needed to grow her business. Welcome, Betsy. Let's get started.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Thanks for being here. So let's first talk about how and when the idea came to you.
So the idea came to me, I was on a beach with my brother and my whole entire family. We were playing, and every single day I lather on the sunscreen, I put on the big floppy hat, I stay under the palapas, and I was chatting with my brother, and this was in 2009, 2010. It was over Christmas. And he was talking about how much he hated taking on and off just a regular rash guard that his daughter wore, and her name's Mariella. And so I was like, oh, this is such a pain. I feel terrible that you have to deal with it, but who wants a little kid to go out in the sun and get sunburned? So I just cut the rash guard right up the front, and then added bobby pins and holes in the front and twisted them and let Mariella play the whole day. And then at night we just untwisted it and pulled it off, and Mariella was asleep in 5 minutes without having to pull the rash guard over the head and pull her ears and pull her hair, and every single time it just became a pain and she would cry. So there was no crying involved. It was great.
So tell us a little bit more about your background then. What did you do before this?
So before I started doing SwimZip, I graduated from college and joined the Boeing company, and was there in a developmental program within finance for 2 years, where you get 6 different types of finance jobs. So I was doing accounting and financial planning and all these great jobs where you crunch numbers, and I just realized that was not the best fit for me. So I stayed around Boeing for 3 years. And at the end of it, I just realized that I wasn't using my skill set and I wasn't having fun in my job. And the idea of SwimZip came to me, and I just decided that, now is the time to try it and go in and dive head first. And if it doesn't work, I can always go back to finance and have another job.
No, good for you. So I think you told me before the idea kind of came to you, I think it was December of 2009. How did you go about, once you made this prototype and you thought, I'm on to something here, what were the next steps that you took?
So the next steps I took were finding a supplier. I knew that their rash guards were out there, and that, they're already being made, they're already in stores, so I knew there were a lot of suppliers out there that made swimwear and rash guards. So I got on a website that had a whole bunch of suppliers from all different countries. So China and Singapore and Mexico and Canada and the US, and I searched for swimwear suppliers, and I contacted like 5, and I was like, okay, let's see if any of these can work. So going back and forth, it was directly with the factories. And so the language barrier was a little bit of an issue at first, but we got through it, and we did a lot of picture taking and drawing, drawing an arrow to where the, sleeves were and where the zippers were.
Okay, so I'm sorry for cutting you off, but does this make you nervous? First of all, I want to hear the name of the website. And
how do you say it?
Alibaba.
Alibaba, okay.
Because I'm very curious. You had a good experience with them. But it's interesting when you say all the different things. Were you nervous as you're drawing an arrow, saying, "Here's where the sleeve goes"? Like, did you think like you were gonna actually get what you wanted?
No, I was like, it was diving in head first. I had no idea if they understood what my translation of a sleeve was compared to what their translation was what a sleeve was. So we went back and forth a lot. They would send me pictures, and I would write, this is the sleeve, and this is the neck, and this is the type of stitching. So the website that I used was Alibaba, and I actually had a really great experience using them. And I know we've talked before, and people didn't have a great experience, but I was lucky and have found a fabulous supplier.
Yeah, Go on. Sorry.
You're You're fine. I had a great supplier, and he and I have been working together since 2009, 2010. So we've had, tried to find other suppliers, but he's just been really fabulous to work with, and the prices are great. But at first, going back and forth about the design was, we had no idea what we were talking.
Yeah, and so that leads me to the question. So you have a finance background, and and you're looking at how did you create the design? Because you were pretty savvy about this.
Yeah, so designing my first one was terrible. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I'm not a designer. I can't draw. I can't do any of this. So I just took pictures of other products and swim shirts and cut them, and I actually never, really sewed the swim shirt together as a whole. It was just taking pieces and parts and pulling the picture together to depict what I wanted, and I never really made a prototype.
So you went to stores and you picked out like bathing suits that you liked, or like sizes that you liked. How did you figure that out?
Yeah, sizing has been hit and miss because you never really know whose sizing is right. So I went to a ton of different stores, bought all sorts of rash guards and swimming suits, and just measured each one. And so I knew the centimeters that the length was, and how tall an average baby was, and the average weight, so I could really get a sense to what fit a child and each size that we did. My first year I did 1T to 5T, which is a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and 5-year-old, and I started with those sizes, really got them from going to Target and The Gap and looking at other stores, and then we changed a little bit about our sizing, and then came out with 6 to 12, 12 to 18, 18 to 24, 2T, 3T, 14,
okay.
5T.
More traditional.
So, yeah,
sizing.
but you learn those things, right?
Yeah, but that's interesting because congratulations, I know you're pregnant with your first child, so you didn't have a child before this, and you're figuring out all this stuff, which is pretty impressive. I mean, it's another learning curve, but just to even see this need because of your background and your experience with the son. And so when you're going through the design process, did you have an idea for an aesthetic? Did you know what colors you wanted, or did you research that, or you just decided you liked certain colors?
Yeah, I would say that I love fashion. I've always been someone who loves to go shopping and loves to find, the little stores that no one knows about, and you can pop in and not everyone walking down the street is going to have it. So I would say I've always loved fashion. I love putting pieces together and mismatching, one type of khaki with another type of khaki. So I have had a lot of fun designing my swimwear. Mm-hmm. And this year, we have a purple with a raspberry zipper, and so I'm just trying to make it fun and different, but still have the fashionable flair. So I would be the type of person that would go to TJ Maxx or, any discount store and find pieces to connect together. So I would say that's where my designs have come from, is just my own little fashion interest.
Right, so then did you hire a designer to actually design the aesthetic for you? How did that work? Or did you do it in Photoshop? Did you tell me you did it in Photoshop?
Yeah, that is how I did it.
Okay.
So, to design the swimwear and where the colors would be and what color and what type of zipper and play with different shades, I bought Photoshop, and I think it was the cheapest type of Photoshop you can get, and I got home that day and I played with it for literally 24 hours. I had no idea what I was doing. I have a mom who's a photographer, and so I would call her and be like, how do I change the color of this layer? She's like, oh, you're only supposed to select the layer, and then it changed it. I was like, oh, it all makes sense. So, I designed it within Photoshop, and that's how I've been doing it. I don't, make any of it. I'll go to stores, like fabric stores, and get fabric swatches that I like, but I've never really sewed one or looked at, what looks good all together. I'm more of a visual person who can see it on the computer.
Oh, interesting. And so if you're picking these different swatches up and you're getting a feel for it, all of your designs then are original?
Yeah, all of them are 100% original, and you can't find them anywhere else, and no one else even makes the full-length zipper down the front of the rash guard, so it's one of a kind.
Right. Okay. Tell me a little bit about website design. What did you do for that?
Okay, so when I first built my website, it was just through GoDaddy. It had a regular standard template, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I had help from my brother, and he had no idea what I was doing. So what I did with our new website is I put it on Craigslist looking for a website designer, and you will get 100 or 200 emails about people who are interested. Yeah. So you just have to filter all of your emails, go through and open them and, star them and remember them. And then I sent out an email to, the top 10 designers I liked based on price, because I had them tell me, show me your website, show me examples of what you do, show me your price, turnaround time. Also monthly, I think that's really important because search engine optimization is so important. You want to constantly be updating your website. So I wanted to know how much a monthly fee would be so I wouldn't have to pay for every little change that you do.
Right, good idea.
So I emailed 10 of them, and I wanted someone local. And so that was really important to me that I could meet face-to-face. And I got proposals back from 9 out of the 10, and then I ended up meeting with 4 of them and just found one that it's really important to be able to connect with them. So they know what you're good at, you know what they're good at, you know how to communicate, and he knows, my new one, that I have no idea what a website language is, and I have no idea how it works. So it's just, being honest with him. So he's helped me a lot on building my new website. So I put it on Craigslist and found someone who's interested in my brand and also me, and I'm interested in them. So we really leverage each other's strengths. Yeah,
no, that's great. So let me ask you that question. So when you don't know something, like about website design, and you're telling them, are they nurturing you through this process? Did you ever feel like you were being taken advantage of, or... it sounds like you found a good fit for you. You interviewed enough people to realize that. But was that apparent in some of your interviews? Did those things stand out to you?
Yes, and I've had previous web designers, so I know what it feels like when you don't have a good fit. And so that was really important. Someone that would be okay with saying, okay, I don't get it. I don't understand what HTML is. Can you please explain it to me? Or I don't understand what a ping file is, a .png file. I have no idea, but if you tell me, I'm willing to learn, and I'm okay being the idiot that has to ask 100 questions, because once you understand, then you can, do so much more. So it's understanding the fundamentals and allowing them to know that you want to learn, I think, is important.
Yeah, production runs. How many pieces do you have to produce for a production run?
So per style, you have to produce 1,500.
Oh, wow.
So, but it's not by size, so just total style. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we can order very small, relatively very small quantities, but that has been based on building our relationship with our supplier and being honest and showing what we need and what we don't need, and really communicating that if we're successful, we will place more orders and you'll be successful. Right. So I think that communication has finally crossed over.
Yeah, when we talked before, I remember you saying something like the first minimum order you couldn't really handle. You were still testing out your product. So they helped you, your relationship with the manufacturer. I think you ordered, what was it, 200 or?
Yeah.
You ordered much less than 1,500.
Yes.
Okay, so what did you do to those, with those 200?
So we did a lot of, so that was like our first test batch. So we just sent them out and got feedback from people. We sold them online. We were just wanting to really test the market and see if parents liked the idea of it. Mm-hmm. A lot of it, most of it was friends of friends of friends and friends of family, family members that knew people. So the order quantity was small at first, and just testing the market to see if it was actually, if parents liked it and what was comfortable about it and uncomfortable about it.
Oh, interesting. Did you get a lot of good feedback from that?
Yes, a lot of great feedback. We learned a ton about the fabric and the stitching, and I put a zipper flap behind the zipper because people would say that it rubbed their tummies, and we just got a ton of feedback from people, but also that they loved the concept and the idea, which was great. Right. Hearing that positive reinforcement keeps you going and interested.
Right. Well, it's very validating, when people find your product or your concept something of of value. So I want to hear a little bit about then, what did you do next up? So you have your product, you've got your manufacturer, your website's up, it's time to start, sales and marketing. Where do you go from there? Tell me about that process.
So sales are hard, especially when you have a new product and your website, is slowly being developed. The first one that we had wasn't great, and so it wasn't the best. People go to it and they're like, "Eee, this isn't the best website."
What was wrong with it when you say that?
So I think the website, there's a look and feel to websites that people appreciate. They appreciate the cleanliness of it. They appreciate really great photography. They appreciate user friendliness. So when on your website, if there's a home button, it always goes to the same place. Mm-hmm. Or to shop, it is really user friendly, and they realize that they're actually buying something. I think the interface on where you buy is really important, so people don't think that it's a fake website, which is kind of the issue we had when I first made the website.
Oh, interesting.
Just because it wasn't very professional.
Okay.
We got it remade. It was great.
Okay.
Like, oh, it looks like a real website.
Okay.
So, so we got the website, the new website, and then sales. We had to get out in the market. So, we ended up hiring a PR person to get help. And they were able to get our product on a lot of blogs, and we sent out a ton of samples, which cost a lot of money for shipping your product.
Right.
Lots of emails with photos that they can use and your logo and everything. So I think that it was a great opportunity for us to get the knowledge out there.
Tell me a little bit about, what was the result when a blogger would write about your product? Would you see sales, or would you see a spike? Do you use like Google Analytics or some sort of, to see how many people come to your website?
Yeah, I did. I would see it would drive a little bit of traffic to our website. Through Google Analytics, mm-hmm. we could track that. Mm-hmm. But the blog posts really weren't effective for my audience, especially since I'm such a seasonal product. Mm-hmm. If you have a blog post about swimwear in September, no one really cares. They're not looking for it. They don't know that's what's important.
Right.
Because they're ready for winter jackets and, hats and gloves. So I think the timing of a lot of the PR stuff was a little early for our brand. Excuse me. So I would say it's really important to focus on, at least for my brand, the magazines where parents, they purchase the magazine, they're reading it, they want to know what information is in there, and so that is what has really benefited us.
Okay.
And those contacts are things you can search on the internet and you can find the editor, and they really appreciate a small company or brand reaching out to them. And if you're quick to email them back when they get back to you, or if they need information, you send it right away, they are 100% appreciative, and they want you to be successful as well. So I would say PR is great, and it helps with the brand.
Marketing then, tell me a little bit more about, you're on Twitter and Facebook. Do you use those a lot to connect with customers? How do you get your customers, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, so I reach out. We are really active on Twitter and Facebook. I reach out personally on my personal Facebook page and also my business Facebook page. We reach out. I, just introduce myself and talk about SwimZip, and, I comment on all their posts that they write, and I just try to be active, an active member of their community, just so they realize that I exist and that I'm out there. And Twitter has been great, for all the blog posts that PR people get for us. And so retweeting those and being active there has really driven a lot of traffic to our site. And then just following up, if someone adds us as a Twitter person or a Twitter follower, and it's a boutique or a store, we always contact them directly and say it's been great to connect via Twitter. We would love, to share more information about our company and our brand. If it's a fit, I let them know that I think it would be a great fit in a couple months when it's summer. And Facebook the same way. It's just constantly reaching out and letting them know you exist, and it's just being out there.
Right. So when you say letting them know, who are you targeting?
I target both boutiques, and for Facebook and Twitter, I target boutiques and then also individual buyers, just moms and dads and grandparents. Mm-hmm. And so I would say, the direct contacts of, if we do a giveaway on our website or on our Facebook page, you know, getting people to interact and write something and comment on it. But now that Facebook has changed a lot of their policies about their giveaways, we're working around that and trying to figure out a new way to do it. So we target both.
So that's interesting. So let's talk about, we're talking about, we'll skip back and forth for sales and marketing, but so I know that you have had some experience you going to a trade show. I think it was like the largest, the ABC Kids Expo. Yeah. And they had moved from Vegas to Kentucky, right? And this was the year that they moved there. So you spent all this money, and tell me what happened.
So I would say the ABC Kids Expo, at least I would say it was a complete flop. Maybe the brand my SwimZip brand wasn't big enough yet, or I wasn't prepared with enough material or the correct material. But I heard since it switched from Vegas to Kentucky that the the buyer traffic had declined incredibly. It was a huge drop. So there weren't a lot of buyers, and we stood there 8 to 10 hours a day, smiling and trying to bring people in, and it was just really, really hard.
Yeah.
So, it did not go well for us, and we spent a ton of money and a lot of time and a lot of headache and a lot of crying at night after the show. So it was hard.
So what did you think about that after the show? It's over. You put in all this effort. This was going to be your huge way to reach buyers. You're disappointed. Where do you go from there?
So I took about a week off, and then I just got back on the train and I got really active on Facebook and Twitter, reaching out to blogs, working on my own press. I also looked at my product and looked at my brand and really wanted to say, okay, what do I need to do to get into these stores that I want? So I took a step back and I said, how can I reach these people without going to a show? So I looked to LinkedIn, and they send out these monthly, a free test trial of, premium LinkedIn membership. And so I waited until a couple months when the people would be buying for the swimwear season, and I got on there for free, and I just reached out to all sorts of buyers, whether they were boutiques or Bye Bye Baby or Toys R Us or Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus, and just kept on reaching out and following up with emails and just trying to get in contact with different buyers, because I realized that the show did not provide me that opportunity, and I had to figure out how I was going to reach them. So I went to LinkedIn to work on sales.
So that's fascinating to me. I mean, that is resourceful and scrappy, and it sounds like, tell me about the value that it provided. Did you build any of those relationships with those buyers? Did you get any feedback? Did you send an in-mail message to them through LinkedIn? How did that process work?
So yeah, I sent the message through. What is it called?
I think it's called in-mail is what LinkedIn calls it. Okay.
So yeah, I reached out via in-mail to a ton of buyers. So I reached out to Bye Bye Baby, Target.com, mm-hmm. Babies R Us, Neiman Marcus, and I did get in contact with a whole bunch of different people. It hasn't landed direct sales for this coming 2012 or 2013 summers, but it has also given me the contacts, and they've given me feedback, and they would like to see the product, and they think it would be a great fit for 2014, and they just want to make sure I can scale it enough. And so the contacts have been great. So I've been lucky to have those contacts and setting up meetings in different cities. I will do anything. I'm like, okay, I will fly to New York. I am 8 months pregnant. Yeah. I fly there in a heartbeat. Just let me know. Even if it's 30 minutes, I'll fly there in the morning and I'll fly home at night. I would do anything to get in these stores. So baby steps, but we're having some great communication and contacts, and at least they acknowledge the brand now, which is really important for me.
Right. That's a huge step. I mean, building a brand isn't easy, and it's going to take years and years, and so it is baby steps. So let's talk a little bit about, so have you paid to advertise online at all?
So we did Google, within Google.
Okay. AdWords?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was not a great return on investment. It was 0% return on investment. But I thought it would be a great step to at least get our brand out there and acknowledge that we exist.
Right.
So we haven't we stopped doing Google AdWords and we're thinking about what else we'd like to do. And now with Facebook changing their business pages around where now you have to pay $5 to promote to 1,000 people or whatever.
You do? That's interesting. Okay, so tell me a little bit, what has changed? This is, let me just tell everyone, it's June 4th, 2012. So tell me the changes that you know of.
So I just found out last week, I was, typing a message on my business Facebook page and saying, come check out this, our swimwear line, or if you're a wholesaler, look on this page. And it said, if you would like to promote to 150 people, pay $5. $5. And I was like, these are my followers. Like, I have to pay for them to want to read the message that they already selected to be a fan of my page. So I guess now if you want people to get your message, you have to ask them to allow your messages to be in their news feed.
Wow, interesting.
It's a total change, and, now it's trying to figure out how can I get, people to click the button that says allow me into the news feed. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to start getting people to do it? Who knows?
That's so interesting that you say that, because this past week has been crazy. I was out of town, and I've seen so much conversation on Facebook, like, I don't like the new Facebook or the rules, and I was thinking, like, oh, it's probably, like, some people always get up in arms about things, and I'm like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but that's a big deal. I guess they went public, right, and now they have to, like, show a lot more revenue, and
they have to make money.
So I guess everyone's going to have to learn how to go about doing that, not just you. Every single business, you're either going to be able to pay for it. So do you know if it's $5 per 150 followers, or do you know if it's just $5 every time you want to post? Or
I think it's $5 if you want to promote a post.
Okay.
To allow 150 people to see it.
Interesting.
You can pay $10,000, or you can pay $10 for, 3,000. If that makes sense.
Interesting. It does. Okay, so tell me about, let's go into, how did you get your first customers, and what did that feel like?
How I got my first customers was online, and it was promoting business, and Facebook, and Twitter, friends of friends, and friends of friends, and friends of friends.
Right.
And I'm always keeping my business cards in my pocket, in my wallet. If I see a kid at a pool or a beach, I hand my business card mom or dad or parent and say, here's my business card, swimwear that, you don't have to worry about. We have sunscreen, full zipper, give them a quick elevator pitch, and then that it builds a business client.
Yeah, no, that's great. So have you thought about, or have you hired sales reps? Is that something that you think about doing?
Yes, we actually just started the sales reps this year. Okay. This coming July, August, September, October, since we're a seasonal product. That's when stores tend to buy. Yep. So we have New York, Atlanta, and she does the whole southwest or southeastern region. And then we have Dallas, and we are working with a California one as well, trying to finish setting that up.
Okay, so how did you find the sales reps?
LinkedIn. Oh. And also through other moms that own businesses. So I'm part of a group called Mom Pact. And they share ideas all the time, and sales reps they really like, and, how they're getting their products out. And just through connecting with them, I've taken the step to find sales reps.
Wow, that's great. So then when you find the sales reps and you hear that, do you interview them as well?
Yes, I do have telephone conversations with them. I also look at what other brands they carry to make sure my swimwear line is a good fit, and it will complement what they currently carry, or, will be very unique if they carry a very unique product. So I look at the line, or other lines, which I think is really important, and also the relationship that we have together, and also being able to be like, I've never done this before, and making sure that they are good with that, and understand that I'm going to ask a ton of questions, and it's been fun, and getting to know them has been great.
Great. So are you in any retail stores yet, or you're really just launching right now, right, into retail?
Yeah. Yeah, we have like 10 boutiques and then a couple online retailers, but we haven't, we're hoping for next summer to be a really big launch, a whole bunch of stores.
Oh my God, that's great. That's very exciting. So I want to ask you in kind of summary, What is, a personal trait that you find is most important for an entrepreneur to have throughout this process?
I think I've said it a couple times, but I think willing to be the person who says, I don't know, or being okay to be questioned and question different things that you don't understand, instead of just nodding and say, yes, I understand, I get it, or, I have to ask 100 questions so I understand. And also, I think putting yourself out there is a huge trait that, I don't mind taking my business card around and saying, hey, if you're interested, here's my SwimZip line, and this is my swimwear line. And it's taken me a lot of time to be able to do that, and my husband has been great. He's like, just go do it. Just go put yourself out there. So I think also having supportive family and a great significant other or partner is really important.
Yeah, and so you're expecting your first child very soon, and how do you think, I know you can't really anticipate what those changes will bring, but how do you anticipate managing it all? Have you thought about that?
Yes. So my husband and I just moved from Seattle to Kansas, and my mom's around, which will be nice to have some help from her. And my husband is just 100% supportive. We went to a show this weekend, and I can't carry, big 10-pound things anymore. They're big boxes, and my belly's too big, and he brings it all in and helps me set up, and, he has a full-time job, and so he puts a huge chunk of time into SwimZip. He does all of my taxes, does monthly finance stuff. So I think I'll be able to manage, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I think just having the supportive people around and people that want you to be successful will, keep you inspired and keep you wanting to be successful.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So we'll end with this last question is, why is SwimZip unique and special to you?
SwimZip, I think is really unique. It's the only product out there that's a rash guard with a full-length zipper up the front. And it has the UV protection, which is so important to me since I was diagnosed with skin cancer. And it just makes parents' lives easier and kids' lives easier. And it's cute and hip, and, kids will be able to go to the pool now and they won't have to worry about getting a sunburn anymore. They'll just have fun, and they fit really well. So I'm excited about 2012 and 13.
Yeah, you are so cute. You're full of energy and spunk. So I want to thank you for sharing with us and our listeners about how SwimZip started, how you got the idea for it, and, very candid and open and honest feedback about your process through being an entrepreneur. And I'm looking forward to having you back in the future. I'd love to hear every year kind of where you're at and what's happened. I think it would be fun to profile some companies like that. And for those of you listening, SwimZip could be found at www.swimzip.com. And for our viewers and listeners, if you like what you heard today, please subscribe to our monthly newsletter so we can make you aware of future interviews. It's that icon on the top right of your computer screen that looks like an envelope. And thank you so much, Betsy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much.
Okay, great.